So now we can move on to the 5 Niyamas, the positive encouragements to do something and to keep principles in mind when we are making decisions in our lives and for revising periodically how we are doing. The first one is Saucha, purity of mind and body. To me, the way I like to think about this is I'm moving in a direction trying to make my speech more concise, more meaningful, trying to avoid filler words like or nervous inclusions to avoid silence, for instance. Being more intentional with my words, but also being more intentional about my clothes, how many clothes I need, how I keep my working space tidy and inviting to have a more positive experience each morning when I wake up and each night before I go to sleep. I also find meditation extremely helpful to try to embody this principle, especially mindful meditation, where we become aware of everything that's happening in our minds. We note thoughts that are coming and going, and we let them pass and continue trying to find this clear sky that exists and is there behind the clouds that just come and go. If you're interested in meditation, I have a few videos where I give you tips on how to get started. I talk about what scientific research has found so far regarding the benefits of meditation, and also we try out practically different kinds of meditation which tend to be quite different from one another and oftentimes are sort of referred to in confusing similar ways. The second principle is Santosha, and it means contentment. A lot has been said about the keys to happiness in life, and often we hear that happiness is something that you shouldn't be searching for because you'll never achieve it if you are directly looking for it. However, a better way of finding happiness is to create a purposeful, meaningful life, taking responsibility and doing things to help others that in turn make us feel useful and valuable and meaningful. This principle of Santosha also comes in the form of acceptance of oneself. Something I've been reflecting on recently is how we often think that we are almost rehearsing in life, that our life will start soon. And we don't realize that life has definitely started, and learning to live life is part of life, a big chunk of life, perhaps the entirety of our lives, and accepting that reality and the changes that come with the passing of time, with us growing older, with the phases in our lives changing and evolving. It also just came to mind that this principle can be related with general confidence and a sense of self-worth. If you're interested in getting practical tips on how to develop and train these skills of confidence, have a look at this video here that I made a few weeks ago. The third principle in Patanjali's Sutras regarding the Niyamas is Tapas, self-discipline, perseverance. This is quite a tricky one, I feel, because often we shouldn't be relying on pure self-discipline to achieve the things we want to achieve, to develop the habits we want to develop. It's better to think of them as systems and creating the right incentives for ourselves to act in certain ways, even if it just involves us and it's just for us. However, this could relate to the practice of regular meditation and also practicing yoga regularly as well, coming back to the mat, believing that there is something there that we can learn about ourselves and that it doesn't happen overnight, that we need to keep coming back, and slowly we'll start understanding and slowly we'll start deepening our knowledge and our practice. It can also be related to austerity, understanding what we really need and not taking more than we need, what really matters to us, and focusing on that instead of collecting extra possessions or experiences that don't fulfill us and that don't align with our values. The second last principle is Svadhyaya, self-study. How often we live our lives and our days in a constant state of flow, going from one task to the other, from one day to the other as well, without taking the time to reflect on what we really need, reflect on how our bodies are feeling, how our minds are feeling, how we've been behaving towards others, our loved ones, strangers on the street, even people we disagree with politically, socially, emotionally, our so-called enemies. The idea is that we cannot really embody yoga without taking conscious time to do this process of introspection and self-reflection. And we will never benefit from the practice if we don't also live by this principle. The last niyama is Ishvara Pranidhana and is often seen as connecting with the divine, with a deity. But we can also interpret it as connecting with the wider world, connecting with the process of evolution and existence, with the story of humanity unfolding and our place in this amazing world and our amazing history. Focusing our mind up to a higher being or a higher state or higher principles and values that we aspire to. We'll definitely discuss more about this in future videos. So those were the 5 yamas and the 5 niyamas, which together encompass the 10 moral or ethical guidelines proposed by the framework of yoga for a holistic practice and a meaningful life. In future videos, we'll delve deeper into it and we'll keep exploring the 8 limbs of yoga, ashtanga, which are present in Sage Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. Let me know your thoughts down below, what you think about these moral guidelines, whether they remind you to any other ethical framework you are familiar with, which could be part of your background, growing up, or your personal belief system. Do you find any similarities, any differences? We'll definitely be exploring this comparative analysis deeper in the future, since I believe there's a lot of really interesting material to cover, moral and ethical propositions by various groups and communities around the world and throughout millennia, a lot of ancient wisdom, some of which is backed by modern science. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe so we can stay in touch and cover more topics which can help you live a happy and meaningful life and improve your overall health and wellness. See you next week.